I think one of the things that the industry doesn't always understand is that churches are not a lesser production, and I think it's tempting and common for manufacturers to produce products what they think that we need. They assume that it's just a Sunday morning kind of scenario where we're static.
To be able to see exactly what's happening, the assurance that you are live, um, it's just this powerful interaction.
I'm really excited to see products like Wave bringing expensive and really awesome tools like Core and ShareLink and these, the social channels to something that's affordable, easy to use, that really empowers the church in a really big way.
Hey folks, it's Brian Blackmore with Church Production. We're here today with Jesse Maitland from Bethel and Tyler Riddle from Teradek. Tyler, the Teradek Wave is called a 5-in-1 smart streaming monitor. So I get it. It's an encoder with a monitor built in. You can, monitor what you're encoding. But what are the other three solutions that make it 5-in-1?
All right. So, in addition to being a monitor and an encoder, it is also cloud enabled, which allows you to bond across multiple internet connections, basically splitting your stream uh, across the different internet connections that you might have. So, multiple modems, multiple maybe Wi-Fi, multiple cellular type stuff, and that will be used with our ShareLink application. Although we are releasing support for our more professional core application, probably starting the end of April. So you'll be able to utilize this with your more professional cubes and Prism units that might be on core. Additionally, it does record to an SD card or a USB drive, and you could maybe have a cloud event on one day and then take this thing, say it's at your church, you're using Core, and then you could take this thing to your kids' soccer game on a camera, a single camera, and then shoot to YouTube right there from the device.
Jesse, you've had the Teradek Wave in your arsenal for several weeks there at Bethel. I mean, what were your first impressions and how has it fit into your workflow?
Yeah, it's actually been pretty exciting. I've had this kind of sitting in my director station most of the time, and I did take it on some walkabouts to kind of test some of the features. But as a director, your job is to make sure that the viewer is getting a high quality product and a good experience. And having an end of line program monitor that shows what's happening at the very end is not just about confidence, but it's about confidence, knowing that you're delivering what you intend to. And I didn't realize how much I enjoyed having just something that was dedicated to program from a end user, I guess, picture. The way that just helped me know that we were getting a good quality picture to them made just it really boosted the confidence for me.
One of the things that I found, because I installed this in my church as well, and it really became an immersive experience at the end versus a box encoder. So I think we had a Video Pro or something. It was in the rack, and so my video directors never knew what was going on unless and they're not very technical people, so they were like, okay, I think it's on, and they'd have to go over to the rack and check, and in some cases the rack was actually behind you. So they're worrying about shooting and that sort of thing, and we have a 500 person church, so it's not like we have a technical team, a super technical team. But now we have the Wave right beside the director there, and so they can see their multicam view, and then they can also see the audio levels at the end and see the video quality and what is actually live. And look, there's a big red thing that says, "Hey, you're live." And I found those little touches, just from my personal standpoint, it became immersive, and it became something where people knew actually what was happening instead of just being a box in the rack.
I have a lot of boxes in the rack,
Yeah.
and they don't give you a whole lot of information. And man, it's like it seems like most video devices think, the video guys, they don't need to see audio levels, they don't need information. They only care about picture, but it's really not true. Um, I was going to say one of the really cool things too was, I think how many times does a guest come in or something happen off script where all of a sudden you're in a position where you need to do a live stream to a guest's account, right? Social somewhere, some extra destination where somebody didn't prepare and you want to be able to say yes. It's like our jobs is to serve people and give them opportunity, or we want to find opportunity to say yes and ways to say yes. And so when those emergencies happen, to have something there that's easy to quickly add a destination to was really great. And one really cool thing about the OS, being able to actually have a user interface that's pleasing to the eye. We're in a visual media, and when you're flustered in production or you're just trying to do something quick, the UI becomes really essential. We don't have times to use that little joystick on the Video Go or to thumb around with the Bluetooth on our phone and try to use the app, to program it and set it up. And so I was amazed at how quick it was to add a channel, to set a destination, to set all the settings, including, a little detail for you. We are really particular about our audio, and to see that it had the headroom for a higher quality audio than some of the previous models was a really, really big relief for me. And it's something that we really care about.
Jesse, was there anything that that surprised you? From opening the box to to digging a little deeper and using it for a couple of weeks.
Let's talk about the screen. I was really, really pleased at the quality. It's very bright. That's a big deal. It's not a cheap monitor, but it's a fantastic mobile solution. And I think in a lot of bonded cellular services, it can get really convoluted and it's not truly mobile. It's just portable. And so what makes this different for me is that it actually is mobile. I can put it on a camera and physically move around in a space if I needed to and stream directly from my camera and truly be mobile. So the build quality and the screen quality really took me by surprise, and I found this to be a fantastic contender for being an actual on-camera monitor replacement. I think I had another thing that really surprised me. It actually has a hardline Cat5 port, which I thought that was really cool. It does have analog audio in and an actual headphone amp out, which is pretty important for some people.
And that's separate control, by the way, between the two. That's very different from our previous products that didn't have headphone control. You just got what you got. But in this one, you can actually go up and down on the headphones. Maybe some people have more sensitive hearing or maybe need a little more.
Tyler, what are some of the more interesting applications that you've heard about, talking with a wide variety of customers?
We've had some users who have mounted this on the back of their camera for single camera, like sports type thing, and they'll bond across two to three internet connections. And they use the monitor as a bigger monitor than their camera monitor. So it's right in front of them, and they might have their cell phone there, which they can actually monitor the stream on and supplement the bandwidth that's there. It's a really interactive device, even for single camera type things. So if you have a RoboCam or something, you can bring this in here and load up your YouTube events, and then for a volunteer, they just come in, select, and go. And it really makes it nice to be able to have a touch interface, and nobody's wondering, oh, how do I start things or anything, because it's a monitor right there. I do want to hit that we do have core integration coming, and it's going to be full core integration.
Tyler, tell people what core is for those who don't know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So core is our product for routing video in the cloud. So it does bonding, it does routing, it hosts MPEG TS, SRT, RTSP servers. So it's a tool for video routing and recording in the cloud as well. It also can do what we call chunking. It will actually allow you to record on the device. So when you're done with an event, it will actually upload the recording to Core for backup purposes, as well as on the SD card. Additionally, it'll allow the bonding to Core. It will allow full video routing to Core. So you can use this device as a like a point-to-point device, and you can actually select your decoders on the device. I've been playing with it the last little bit, and it's really neat. You can spin up your cloud servers on the device as well. For those of you who have used our Core product, you understand that there's a cloud server on there. Well, you can turn it on right from the device. It hooks right in. Yeah,
Without getting your phone out, without
yeah.
getting your laptop out, without any of that.
This is going to be the closest thing we have to a computer experience. We bring the power of Core right onto the device, and we'll have an initial product release for it at the end of April. We're aligning it with NAB, but it's going to allow us to have these monitor encoders that can be anywhere. You can route this video to anywhere else, or to YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, Twitter, anything else that takes RTMP, SRT, MPEG TS, and it just opens this up to the professional environment. So you can have a high quality monitor encoder, as well as the ability to stream professional protocols, not just RTMP.
One of the things that the industry doesn't always understand is that churches are not a lesser production or of lesser value or lesser need. And I think it's tempting and common for manufacturers to produce products what they think that we need, and they forget or are unaware of the various production environments that we're in. They assume that it's just a Sunday morning kind of scenario where we're static, but most of us, we're those days are not uh, as common as they used to be. We're doing church on the lawn. We're doing it in the park. We're doing baptisms out in remote places. Like there's a lot of creativity being applied to church these days, and we're finding that the level of tools and resources that we need to serve production at a high level is really meeting a lot of the industry standards for cinema and different things. So just to throw that out there, I'm really excited to see products like Wave bringing expensive and really awesome tools like Core and ShareLink and these, the social channels to something that's affordable, easy to use, that really empowers the church in a really big way, in a really highly technically proficient way.
Well, folks, we've been talking about the Teradek Wave smart streaming monitor with Jesse Maitland from Bethel and Tyler Riddle from Teradek. So thank you guys for joining us today, and thank you to our viewers for joining us.